Hello, Raven fans and Oriole fans, and thank you very much for joining us here this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast early in the morning, trying out a Thursday morning for you guys the last few weeks. So thank you very much for joining us. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. So definitely, if you're checking us out, you can check us out on Facebook. They're on there still, not live. Rumble, we're on there still. We kind of upload them like a day or so after we go, so it should be there later tonight or tomorrow. Also, too, we're live if you're watching this right now for the first time, as always, on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So definitely check that out in all of those social media platforms. These jerseys like this, the Ray 52 jersey, hats, just like this, Oriole hats. We sell Ravens and Oriole merchandise to fans out there. If you are looking for a website that just sells Orioles and Ravens merchandise, a little bit of Terps, if you're looking for that type stuff, you want to bypass all the 50 other two teams, you could go on our website and get a lot of the merchandise on their raverysports.company.site. You can go straight on there and get a lot of that merchandise as well. Couple other things we do: Genesis Notary Services /Facebook.com. You live in the Shenandoah Valley. Definitely my notary business is going. If you have any please show your ID. ID. Have what type of documents it is. A lot of members, they want to get documents. A lot of people out there, they want to get the documents stamped and they have no idea what it is, or I'd be happy to go over that as best I can, but definitely have your ID and everything so we can help you with that. Janice, Charles Harris, we are LegalShield.com. If you are looking for Legal Shield, definitely the value is tremendous. If you are looking for some legal advice and everything, we will go ahead and get that squared away for you. We will go ahead and take care of you legally and everything. It saves a lot of money. If you are a business owner and you are trying to collect money in these tough times, economic times, having a lawyer, one, you're going to help. The lawyer is going to help you collect your money. You have that option. And also, too, you can save money by talking to a lawyer on a regular basis, having that conversation to maybe keep you out of court. Also, too, you could build up hours. If you do have to go to court, if you do get sued, it's a great value, I'm telling you, for that. So definitely check that out. Sunday, the Maryland men's basketball preview. So Maryland's college basketball is starting here pretty soon. Next Monday, the Terps start, and we will go ahead and check that out as well. So we're going to preview the Terps, the Big Ten. Julian Reese is back as well. Jameer Young is gone. Definitely interesting in the Big Ten what's going on right now. 18 teams. I'm sure we're going to get to 20 at some point. Interesting to see how the Terps do. Okay, let's get down to the business of the NFL. And in the NFL, our Ravens victory on Monday night. If you all saw it, sure all of you did. 41-31 in Tampa. Ravens over the Bucks, 41-31. This was actually more decisive than I thought. I thought the Bucks would put up more of a fight, but they had a lot of problems in this one. And the Ravens offense, I think not only is it the best in the league, it might be the best in the league by a margin, by a pretty good margin. That includes Kansas City, Buffalo, or anybody else you want to talk about. I mean, they really, really are dominant. Jackson 5, Joe Tessitore coined it the first time. That's the first one I remember it coined, when Joe Tessitore coined it on Monday Night Football when he had 5 TDs against the Rams. He had 5 TDs against the Bucks, 17 of 22, 281. I thought Lamar's been terrific. I don't think certainly been the best quarterback in the league. Certainly been good in all phases. He's had to be better. The line has struggled. He's adjusted. That's what I love about this. Like certain first two games, have to get the ball out quick, get the ball out to the tight ends, get the ball out fast. Then he gets time, throws the ball downfield. Wide receivers are improving. It's everything, all from all angles. Very tough to defend. Lamar has been outstanding, having probably maybe more passing yards on track than he's ever had. That's saying a lot. Derrick Henry, wow. I think he's definitely in the MVP discussion. I don't think there's any question about it. You look at a lot of these quarterbacks that are having down years. So I know why not look at a running back. Any running back that's on pace for 2,000 yards is in the discussion, and he is on pace for 2,000 yards. I mean, he's rattling off 150, 160, like 15 carries. I even saw it. It looked like ESPN was even kind of baiting them into, hey, where's Derrick Henry? He's just standing on the sideline. I think Harbaugh was just throwing the ball more, getting a little rest. In the second half, he's taking it to the house. I mean, it's wild to see Derrick Henry, people making business decisions at the red zone in terms of even tech. No, you got it, man. You just like professional athletes not even wanting to tackle him in the red zone. Outstanding. Henry, I think, was fantastic all season. I definitely think he's in the MVP discussion. Look at this name with 100+ yards receiving. Rashad Bateman, 4 catches, 121. He's running the 9 route. He's running the deep ball. So this is where it's going a lot of times when it's going deep. Not that Zay Flowers can't go throw the deep stuff or Mark Andrews or anything like that. But when the receiver goes the deep routes, I mean, I see a lot of that stuff. A lot of his stuff is home run. Look, Bateman is a good receiver when healthy. You never heard me say, I don't think I did, that Bateman isn't a good receiver. Bateman is a good receiver, but he's showing everybody he could stay healthy, and when they get the ball more frequently down the field, that he can be effective, and he's been effective. Also in this offense, no pressure on him. There's so much you have to really pick your poison. It's like, yeah, so he's always been a good route runner, but now he doesn't have as much pressure on him. He's not getting double teamed. He's definitely Bateman. Outstanding. Mark Andrews definitely looked back. I thought good game for him. Zay Flowers has been solid all season. The receiving core has been really, really good as well. Roquan, I thought this was his best game of the season. 18 tackles, and also some of the thunder he was bringing in this one. Really doing hits hard. Not quite as good. I don't think he's good for his standards, but he was fantastic on Monday night. 18 tackles, really had a lot of hits. He's the leader. I think there's no question about it. He's the leader of the defense. At some point, it may be Kyle Hamilton, which I thought also has been really good lately in the last few games. But this is Roquan Smith's defense. He was outstanding. 18 tackles in the game on Monday. Baker Mayfield, 31 for 45, 370 yards. That's deceptive. I don't think Baker was bad. I don't think Baker's the problem. I think the number is high. A lot of it was garbage. They were so far behind. That score is deceptive too. They were never in doubt. They had to throw a lot. I think that's kind of contributing to the passing problems, the passing stats that the Ravens had to some degree. I think some of it is the offense is doing so well. Teams aren't running the ball. When you're ahead by so much, teams aren't running the ball, and I think that's a factor as well, because a lot of that was third quarter, fourth quarter, when the Ravens had it in hand. But I thought Mayfield was fine. Costly losses in this one as well. Rashad White, I thought the Bucs ran the ball better than I think anybody has all season on the Ravens. I think 10 carries for 40 yards. Bucky Irving ran the ball in this one. I think what it was, the problem was, like I said, they were so far ahead, the Ravens, that they really couldn't keep running the ball. Like they had to play catch up because the Ravens kept scored 34 and answer. So the run game kind of became moot, and they started throwing more as well. Cade Otton, shout out to Cade Otton for Tampa. He took a beating. I saw 6 or 7 really times he got creamed. Once almost on back-to-back plays by Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith. Man, he really took some shots in this one. Had a good game overall, 8 receptions, 100 yards. They're going to need it. They lost Mike Evans. He's going to be out for week 11. Chris Godwin is going to be out for the season. Kind of a mistake, I think, to have him in there. Todd Bowles didn't really want to hear that. That he didn't have that many receivers. He had guys hurt, but I don't know. I think that one was pretty much well in hand. I got him out of there, but that's, I understand it. I mean, I understand it. Certainly, you can't foresee injuries sometimes. Andre Whitfield, 10 tackles, 1 interception. I thought clearly he was their best defender. He had 10 tackles. He had the 1 INT. I think they did very well, I think, in all season long. Whitfield, I think it's either him or Kyle Hamilton is the best safety in the league. I thought he was pretty much all over the field, as good as anybody did on the Bucs defense. But the Ravens spread the ball around so much. It was just too much of the Ravens in this one. 41-31, Ravens over the Bucs. Bucs have real problems. I mean, they lost, like I said, Mike Evans and Godwin for the season. Well, they lost Mike Evans to like week 11. Godwin may not come back at all this season ending as well. So that's a problem. Their defense has given up a lot of points. Ravens defense, I'm not as concerned as other people are because of kind of what I said. They're scoring so much. So I don't think it's a huge issue as well. I think there's some good stuff happening. Marlon Humphrey went out the game with the injury. That's a concern, even though he had 2 interceptions in the game. Brandon Stevens, I think, has been pretty good. Kyle Hamilton has been good. Pass rush, not great, except for Kyle Van Noy. That's a bit of an issue. So I think that's part of the problem. I always think that's part of the problem sometimes that's not mentioned when pass defense. How much rush are you getting to get the throws, to get the corners, etc.? So, but I do think that's a bit of an issue, but I'm not that worried about it here going forward. We got a game this week. 5-2 Ravens going into Cleveland, who are now opening up, it looks like, a new stadium in the county of Cleveland Park. So they are playing here in Huntington Field. Huntington Bank Field is the name. 5-2 Baltimore Ravens against the 1-6 Cleveland Browns without Deshaun Watson, for better or worse, with the Browns in this one. Lamar definitely on the MVP pace, 1,810 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, playing out of this universe as well. I'm not as worried about the MVP, frankly, as well. I'm sure Lamar isn't worried about it either. I mean, he's, though, on a different level. You wonder if he's throwing the ball better or if it's just the receivers and everything are better around him for the first time. So many years he's had to work without a lot. Now he's got a lot. And I think that factors in to how much better Lamar has been. Derrick Henry, fantastic stuff from Henry. Absolutely the best running back in the league here so far. 134, 873 yards, 8 TDs. He's been fantastic. I think like I heard during the broadcast, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry were talking. He's like, you're faster than I thought he was. And I agree with him. You expect the power, the tough runs, the inside, you expect that. But this guy is game-breaking consistently. I think Cleveland, obviously, having a tough time with the record, period, is going to have a tough time with Lamar, with Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers, a little bit more of a decoy on Monday night, but I think Zay has been really good. 34 receptions, 412, 1 TD. Outstanding stuff by Zay Flowers, I think, all year long. He's a really good route runner. He's a real receiver. I think his body is also filling out some physically where he can take the handle of, even though he's not particularly tall, of a receiver, real route running. I don't think you have to gadget him. I keep saying that. He can outrun people. He can outrun them on routes. He can catch in traffic. He can do a lot of those things. He's not particularly tall, so there's some issues there. But I think I don't have any problem from what I've seen with Zay Flowers all season long. The rest of the receiving group also to Bateman, outstanding in the game Monday. Also to quieter Isaiah Likely. Everybody's not going to eat, but yeah, outstanding core, best receiving group we've ever seen from the Ravens. At least I've seen it in many, many, many years. Kyle Van Noy, 7 sacks, got another sack Monday. Van Noy has been fantastic. Our way on the other side, not nearly as good. Ojapo, Tavares Robinson, not on the field as much, not as impactful. But this has been the guy, certainly the pass rush, Kyle Van Noy, not a traditional pass rusher, even though he's got 7 sacks. But him setting the edge, I love it. Love it, love it. Fundamentally sound. I think he's been a godsend for the Ravens. This is like what an Ozzie Newsome and an Eric DaCosta play like a Raven. This guy, Kyle Van Noy, versatile, veteran, experienced, hungry. He'll be able to go ahead, no matter who's at quarterback. It's going to be just like Jameis, but he outstanding stuff all season by Kyle Van Noy. Jameis Winston is going to start. DTR, Dorian Robinson, is hurt. Deshaun Watson was carried off on the stretcher last week, out for the season, torn Achilles. Fans, you shouldn't be cheering if somebody gets off the field injured. Not uncalled for, in my opinion. I mean, if a guy gets hurt, to do that, I can to the degree. I mean, as much as this is unpopular to say, he's not been good. I mean, there's no other way to slice it. I mean, he was like 30th quarterback ranking. Your offense has been terrible all year. Some people saying Jameis is an upgrade. I don't buy that. This guy is struggled his whole career. He's going to get you probably more passing yards, I would think, but his interception totals have always been high. He's always been a little reckless with the football as well. Nick Chubb did return in this one. So Jerome Ford's still there. 11 carries, 22 yards, 1 TD. Rounding him into form is going to be very, very important for him now. So definitely you don't have Deshaun Watson there. Their offensive line has not been good this year. They've historically, Cleveland has been good in the trenches on the offensive line. I think they've even been underrated. This year, they're not so good. They're not running the ball very well. The Ravens have an outstanding run defense. So I think that was, even with Nick Chubb, and he's still trying to getting his sea legs in, but they are going to run the football. I think that's going to be Kevin Stefanski's formula as well going forward. No more Amari Cooper is in Buffalo, so Jerry Jeudy now, for better or for worse, is your number one receiver, at least by default. 21 carries, 266 yards. I think Jeudy is there. I think I kind of agree with Steve Smith's segment of assessment, rather, of a Jerry Jeudy. He's a jag, kind of just a guy. I think he's decent receiver. I think if he was on like playing with Pat Mahomes, I use for example, he might fool somebody into thinking that he can have a 1,000-yard receiver or something like that if he's playing with good talent and stuff around him. He's certainly not in Cleveland. I think he's got flashes of ability, flashes of a really good receiver, but not nearly consistent enough as a number one receiver. I think this will be, compared to what the Ravens have had to deal with a lot of the season, this would be a situation where they look at, a little bit of a day off there as well. This guy ain't a day off. How long is he going to stay in Cleveland? That's going to be the thing. I don't think the Ravens necessarily going to be a prime away, but Myles Garrett isn't the problem. Myles Garrett is terrific. Not a terrific start for his standards at the start, but he still got 4 sacks. This is going to be the focal point. They're going to have to give help on his side, whatever side he's on, going against Myles Garrett. I think this is going to be the guy that you're going to have to go ahead and account for on every play. All right, X factors on the offense here for the Ravens. We're gonna X Isaiah Likely. Been a little quiet the last few weeks. Not just necessarily through his fault. I just think he hasn't had as big a slice of the cake. They've been kind of moving the ball around. Andrews has been getting more. Receivers have been now getting more. Not as much to the tight ends. We'll see. I think definitely. I think he's kind of due for a big game. Interesting to see how he does on defense. X Trent Simpson. So X here for him. More him than in the secondary. Cleveland is going to run the football, I think, a lot. You can see a lot of study of Nick Chubb, Ford. We'll see how effective they can be. I think there will be some firing up of the base here of the fans because there's no more Deshaun Watson, right? So it'll be interesting to see how they react to it. That said, Ravens win this game handily. We're all thinking that, right? I think Ravens 38. They've been scoring 30, highest scoring offense in the league. 38. Let's make it 17. I don't think the Browns score a lot of points. I don't think they have the passing offense to exploit the Ravens' weakness in the passing game, passing defense. So I think it's 38-17. There you go. All right. Enjoy the game on Sunday, not on Monday night here this week. So let's take a look here at our big five biggest games. Five biggest games on the schedule that are not Baltimore Raven games. So definitely this week, check it out. Big five, a lot of games last week. Good slate of games, and I thought the games watching them were a good slate of games. So Houston in Green Bay. Green Bay wins at the last second field goal. Both teams were about what I expected. Green Bay, I think their defense is actually coming along a little bit more now. Look a little better. Jordan Love's kind of getting his sea legs, winning a close game. Houston, I don't think any less of them losing on the road. I think they have all the pieces for a run as well. Tough to win in Lambeau as well. The Giants and the Eagles, kind of what I thought. I don't see any problem with them making Saquon the focal point of their offense. Not at all. Nothing wrong with that. Saquon, that's why he's there. I think he certainly was motivated. 170 plus yards, I think it was, for Saquon in New York. The Giants made a huge mistake letting him go. That was, you got no shot with Daniel Jones. You just have no shot. Any team with a good offense, you're gonna have a problem. So if you're them, you're gonna have real problems. I think the Chiefs winning over the 49ers. Chiefs go to 6-0. Mahomes hasn't even had the season he's had. This is about as late in the year where I remember Mahomes having more interceptions than touchdowns. Like he's only had 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Didn't matter. Niners have issues. We're going to talk about the Niners this week as well. But Niners, the injuries and all that. I would say, though, kind of like Cincinnati, they kind of start slow. So we will see. But they don't really – it's how you finish and not how you start. But this record is not good. And this is kind of what we've seen from them a couple of times. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually do. Lions over the Falcons, over the Vikings last week. I thought these are two teams that are definitely going to the playoffs. I don't know if the Vikings are a paper tiger. I just don't see the talent on that team where they're going to be maintaining this. The Lions, but the Lions are no joke. That was big for the Lions, though. They needed, obviously, to go ahead and get a win like that. And also, too, last week, the Jets and the Squealers. I think that might be it for the Jets. I don't know if they can overcome the hole that they're in. I think the Bills, I think, if anything, the division is not good. So I think that's the issue for them. And sooner or later, you got to start winning some games. The Squealers didn't impress me. I think the switch to Russell, I kind of understood it because at least you know what you're getting with Russell. They did score more points in this one, I think, but interesting to see how they do the rest of the year. So, big five biggest games here. The AFC South. Apparently, the Indiana South with the Colts and the Texans in this football game. The Texans there's nothing not to like. Nothing not to like, even though they didn't win last week. CJ Stroud has been terrific. Joe Mixon, I think, has always been underrated. He's outstanding, even with the injury they have. Diggs has been an outstanding addition for them to their receiving core. I think their offensive line is pretty good, so they score a lot of points. They're top 10, and I think offense as well. Defense, I think, is outstanding as well. Darnell Hunter and Will Anderson out. They've been fantastic as far as pass rush. Darrell Stingley in the secondary. There's a lot to like there. The Colts, this is for first place. The Colts are here as well. I just don't think Richardson's the guy. It's a tough one because you put Joe Flacco in, you're going to win more games, but you got to see what you have with Richardson at some point. I kind of thought he was overdrafted. I kind of thought Richardson was kind of a third round guy, but he kind of rose up the draft board because athletically he's the part. He's super quick running the ball, and he can throw it deep. Got a great throwing arm. His accuracy just doesn't work. And I don't think you're going to be able to beat the Texans with that. It'll be interesting, though, if they can kind of still win. It will be a close divisional game. These two teams know each other very well, like the Texans in this one. After the events on Monday, I kind of more changed my thinking on this one. Two teams defensively, not great. Offensively, both teams have been really good. The Falcons and the Bucks. The thing is, the Bucks have no receivers now. That's a thing now. All of a sudden, the best thing they did is they had Mike Evans, they had Chris Godwin on the outside. Both of these guys are gone now, right? So Mayfield, a few more picks the last couple games. Interesting to see. I think the Falcons' offense is really good. Bijan Robinson is kind of raring to go. Kirk Cousins has been solid for them all season. Their defense has been disappointing. I think that's for sure. But I like them against the Bucks. I think the Bucks offense is going to start ticking down without those receivers as well. I think that's going to be a problem for them. I think the Falcons definitely want to establish themselves as the best team in this division. Bills and the Seahawks. Most passing yards in the league. Geno Smith. How about that stat? I think the Seahawks are good offensively. I do. I think they're really good offensively. I think they can throw the ball very well. I think they're keeping the stable of running backs healthy. I love the home field advantage that they have. I think there's certain places you go. I know that's kind of more underrated these days with fans coming from everywhere. But Seattle's definitely one. Lambeau's one. There are certain places I do think that's a big thing there. Bills, I think getting Cooper is going to help them a lot, frankly. I think that was the one thing they didn't have is they couldn't throw the ball really down the field as well. So can they get into a battle with the Seahawks and win? I think they do. I think the Bills actually win this game. I think they just have a little bit too much firepower. Allen more consistent, I think, than Geno is. I like Geno. It's hard not to like Geno, but I think Allen, is more consistent with Amari Cooper. I think that's going to matter. The run game hasn't been quite as strong for Buffalo, but I think they should be able to throw the ball. I like the Bills in this one. Interesting. The Cowboys coming off a bye, going against the Niners that are now 3-4. So, excuse me, who needs this one more? If you could answer that question. I think I'll go Cowboys first. Cowboys, I think, are kind of what they are. I think it's going to be good enough to win or it won't in a lot of weeks. They're going to have Dak Prescott. They're going to have CeeDee Lamb. They got to get on the same page with everything. Troy Aikman kind of called them out for the route running and everything. But I don't – that's all you got. You don't have anything else on offense. They have no run game. The line has kind of struggled. I think they're going to go on offense as Lamb and Prescott go. Defensively, I think they're not quite as good. I think they could get better there. I think they've had some injuries. So I think they'll get better. I think that's going to be the thing that helps them. If anything helps them. I think the Niners have a lot of injuries as well. They're not going to have Ayuk, I think, the rest of the season. Deebo Samuel, maybe you don't have him either. That's going to matter. I heard a story this week. I read that Kyle Shanahan was really yelling at Brock Purdy at his locker for like 5 minutes, like in front of the team. Usually a quarterback, they usually won't do that with a starting quarterback on the team. So I thought that was very interesting if that is true as well. That said, I don't think there's anything else they have. I think Purdy is gonna have to do the job for him, carry him. Going forward, if they get McCaffrey back, I think they are going to get the cavalry back on offense. Defense is coming along. I just don't have faith in the Cowboys. Don't have faith in the Cowboys like the Niners in this one. It'll be a shame if we can't get Jaden Daniels in this one. He might be hurt. He was injured last week. I don't think they're going to have him. This is still a pretty big game. So rarely you have two teams, I think, in the Big Five like that picked first and second last year. Bears are for real. Caleb Williams, I think, is finally finding his own, kind of like adjusting to the pro game. I think that was because all the physical tools are obviously there. I think he's outstanding. I think they also went to it without the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. I think that's a loss for them. I think that's a big deal to have that as well. I think really kind of blew them off the road. But I would say this: Commanders, I think, might be the best team in the AFC East, in the NFC East. I think their offense has been good all season long. Terry McLaurin has been good. They did lose some defensive tackles, so I don't think they're great on defense. I don't think the Bears' offense, I think, is too much for them. I think the Bears actually win the game, especially without Jaden Daniels in the lineup. There you go. Big five biggest games on the schedule. 5 biggest games on the schedule. Tune in to all the games on Red Zone and all other various streaming and cable TV platforms. All right. Yes, sir. Yes. The Black Knights and the Engineers in this one. So the biggest battle in Baltimore City for the high schools all season long. My Baltimore City College Black Knights and the Poly Engineers in the homecoming game. The game, I would say the game for all of Baltimore City as well, where the Knights and the Engineers are hooking up. I think I'm going to get the number here. This is going to be the 136th game between the Knights and the Engineers. I think this is probably I do believe this is the oldest high school rivalry of all time. I mean, these two teams have been playing since I think the first game was 1889. That's crazy. 1889. So we're here in 2024 as well. The Knights, I think, have won 10 straight. That's outstanding. The Engineers are 2-5, not clearly as good this season. Game is at Morgan State at Hughes Stadium, 12 o'clock. Definitely as well. There's a streaming service, National High School, NHFS, so definitely check that out if you hadn't. They messed up last year. So I'm going to get it this year. They messed up last year. What they do there with their camera is they have the camera at the home field of the team that's, the home team. So I think they had the game. I was watching practice for think it was field hockey or some other craziness. It was wild. It was like field hockey, but the game was at Morgan, right? So they didn't have the camera in Morgan, so they had that all messed up there. But anyway, I think this is probably the greatest rivalry in Baltimore high school sports. I know, and the tailgate itself, and I know a lot of people my age only care about the tailgate. It's turned into, I mean, all schools. Like you go there and you'll see people there from Dunbar, from Patterson, from all different schools. It is one of the biggest parties in Baltimore. So definitely check it out. These young men out here to the two of the best outstanding schools academically too. I think the two shining schools. I mean, Baltimore, I mean, it's no secret, rough time for a lot of these high schools academically. These are the star schools of I think the Baltimore City Public Schools, Baltimore City College, Baltimore Polytechnic Institute. You throw in also to the Baltimore School for the Arts, and you also throw in Western right there next to Poly. Those are the ones there. So definitely, I'll be checking this out. Saturday afternoon. Black Knights and the Engineers recapping the game definitely next week. So definitely check that out as well. Gotta talk about the Knights and the Engineers in this one. City and Poly, for those of you that don't know. Now you know. All right, let's get down with this next game here. Maryland storming the field. How about it? Surprise. So I was surprised by this. I really was, and pleasantly surprised. This is one of the bigger. Some people are like, why are you storming the field? You just beat a Blue Blood, for God's sake. Like, Blue Blood not having their best season, USC, but I think this was a good win for the morale. A lot of heat on Loxley, like Mike Loxley, the coach, last few weeks, getting it done here against a USC team. Maybe this could propel you now to get to a bowl game where maybe it was going south a little bit. Billy Edwards, fantastic stuff last week. If you didn't see Billy Edwards, there was so many things that I read and saw where say whoever wins the Terp job is going to have the worst quarterback in the Big Ten. Billy Edwards clearly outplayed Miller Moss. That was fantastic. It was gutsy. He got hit a lot. He had a lot of these jump passes, side passes, getting the ball like this. Outstanding, 39 for 50, 2 TDs, 1 interception. It doesn't do it justice. Billy Edwards was the heart and soul of the Terps offense. As fantastic stuff by Billy Edwards. He was one of the reasons they won. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Nolan Ray, I think he should be now taking over as the starting running back from Hemby. Hemby, I think we've seen him for the last couple of years. He looks good at times, but Nolan Ray, I think, gave you those bursts, gave you a couple of these outstanding runs. I think, kind of surprises you with his speed, but he's not getting as many carries. I'd like to see more of Nolan Ray. He led the team. He carried 6 carries, 54 yards. I thought it was outstanding. They threw the ball a lot, so they didn't run the ball a lot. They didn't need to, but I think they threw it 50 times, so they didn't run nearly as much. The Maryland receivers have been fantastic all season long. Caden Prather, Ty Felton, I think they've been outstanding. I think Felton, again, with the 1 TD in this one. The USC defense wasn't, I think the strength of it is their secondary as well, but they have kind of shredded receiver and DBs no matter who's played for them all year. So the Maryland receiving core, one of the reasons why Billy Edwards is having success is because of the receiving core of the Terps has been really good all season long. Miller Moss, outstanding. I'm sorry, we're not Miller Moss. Quayshawn Fuller had the 1 interception of Miller Moss in this one as well. There wasn't a lot of defense in this one. Frankly, I thought they did get the interception here that actually did a lot, actually got Maryland the ball back. They were actually able to score in the game several times in this one. Miller Moss, I think The only thing wrong with Melon Moss is he's not Caleb Williams. I thought he was good in the game as well, but he's not that level of a guy to kind of overcome all of USC's problems. They don't really have. They have great speed for sure, but the defense is worn out in the second half. See, there was a lot. The Trojans aren't good in the trenches as good as they are on the outside. Woody Marks has tremendous speed, 17 carries, 82 yards, 1 TD, blazing speed. I think he's probably the most consistent offensive player. Really young receivers there. Zachariah Branch, and Mekhi Lennon, eight carries, 8 catches for 89 yards. I thought he was outstanding as well. The defense is the problem for the Trojans. I think they don't have really anything up front to really push anybody. I think Jaden Smith, was outstanding. He had 14 tackles. Kamar Ramsey, I think that's all that's there. They don't really have it. They really, last 3 weeks in a row, defenses crumbled. Maryland took advantage. Good win for the Terps, I thought. Outstanding. This was an outstanding game to watch too Saturday. So I thought both teams really performed. This was nip and tuck. This could have went either way. I think the Terps actually were fantastic. This is probably one of the better wins that Mike Locksley has ever gotten. So I understand, though, what you were saying. This isn't the great Trojans team. They're 3-4 after the loss, but it's still a good win and a needed win after getting 2 bad losses, I think, against Northwestern and Indiana. So definitely getting the win. So Terps actually winning in College Park. Attendance is not good in College Park. I'm a little surprised, even for this game. Economic realities are real. I think people, I kind of bring that up. I think that's part of the problem with tickets and things like that. But the Terps, I mean, really, again, isn't really that expensive to go to games. This one was more because it was USC, but it doesn't really cost that much. But I like to see a little bit more enthusiasm from the fan base. More my point. I'm not going to rail on people for not buying tickets or whatever, but more enthusiasm from the fan base. Little surprised by that there's not more there. We're going to talk baseball now for the rest of it, and we got a World Series coming up this week. The Dodgers and the Yankees. So this is what we wanted, right? So obviously not us because we're Oriole fans, but like you're getting Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge in the World Series finally. So this is exactly what the league wants. This is exactly what the networks want. This is exactly what a lot of fans want to see. Shohei Ohtani on the Dodgers, so many years to the Angels, has never been to the World Series. He's going to get his shot this year. And I think if the best player isn't Shohei Ohtani, it's Aaron Judge. I think Judge is probably the best. Probably Judge is probably the best player in the American League. There's a pretty big distance between best player in the league, these two, and everywhere as well. So we're going to see about this is on the first game is going to be in Dodger Stadium. So the two hallowed halls, right? We got all these stadiums, Huntington Bank Park, M&T Bank Park, all this stuff. And then what do we have here in game one? We're going to have Dodger Stadium, right? One of the oldest stadiums that are going on. So definitely check that out. Jack Flaherty, I think Jack Flaherty is starting in game one. Yeah, Jack Flaherty, I think I did get that right. Jack Flaherty and Garrett Cole are going to start in the first game. Flaherty has been outstanding for the Dodgers this year. Outside of his last start, he's been terrific for them all season long. Garrett Cole, I think had injuries this season. One of the top 5 pitchers in all of baseball. Definitely the 2 best records. Money can buy a championship. They might as well be since they spend the most money. So absolutely, we're going to go ahead and check that out. The World Series Fall Classic begins on Friday. Couple things real quick before I go to the Orioles. I'm going to go to the Orioles here in a second. Mets, I thought, were much better than advertised this year. I thought the Mets really pulled back. I think they might be the favorites definitely next year. They're definitely going to be in bidding. I think their pitching, I think, has got to just get a little bit stronger. We're going to beat the Dodgers as well. Guardians, I don't think they have enough offense to beat the Yankees. I think that's what it was. I think they kind of just showed up. I don't see them winning a World Series as good as their pitching is. In a way, it's sad because they're doing everything right. They just don't have the bats to go ahead. The Yankees' defense is terrible in the outfield, etc. I mean, their defense is terrible in the outfield. Every time I see the Yankees, they're running into something, misplaying a ball, etc. But they're hitting a lot of home runs, so that works. All right, free agency 2025. Oh, we're gonna go over some things here in free agents for a lot of these NFL teams. What are the Orioles possibly looking at? So we compilated a little free agent list. Not every position the Orioles are going to go after, but go over the free agents list. What targets? How does it look for free agents for 2025 for the Orioles? We're going to go ahead and take a look at that, see how that looks here. Probably not looking at a catcher. Obviously, as a starter. So the first guy, I think, I don't want to mess up his name, Kyle Shigosha. For the Padres. I think he had one of the best years of his career. I think he probably stays in San Diego as well. There will be some interest in him. There aren't a lot of good catchers. They're just not. I mean, that's not breaking news, but the catching and behind the plate in the league has really struggled for a lot of teams, but definitely it'll be interesting to see. But he's definitely the number one guy. Carson Kelly, Danny Jansen, Gary Sanchez, James McCann. Yes, that's right. James McCann. Same guy. Will the Orioles want to stay with James McCann? I think it'd be fascinating. I don't know if there's a lot of good options. I mean, again, I kind of looked at it, and man, a lot of these catchers, I mean, everybody complains about McCann's bat. His bat is actually better than a lot. I mean, there's a lot of 100 like with a lot of these guys. Gary Sanchez is actually has a reputation of being a bad catcher. I think he actually has improved. He's going to give you some offense, but he keeps being a free agent. A lot of teams don't want to commit to him because he's kind of up and down. He used to be all or nothing, so you're going to get some offense there. Same with Danny Jansen and Carson Kelly, decent offensive catchers. You're going to get something offensively. I think probably those guys land a backup role. It depends on a good team, on a bad team, or something like that. If they like sign with Oakland or something, they probably would start. Or I'm sorry, Sacramento. Like they'll start. First base now, Pete Alonso, I think is a free agent. I think interesting to see the sabermetric guys won't like a Pete Alonso because his average isn't high, but he's super productive with the home runs and the RBIs and things like that. I can't imagine there wouldn't be interest in Pete Alonso. I think he resigns in New York, but I think there'll be some interest in him around the league. I think obviously there has to be only 30 years old, which is kind of young for a free agent. I think it'll be interesting to see that. Christian Walker, I think, has been excellent with more playing time. I think I thought he was the best offensive player in Arizona this year. Paul Goldschmidt, I think, decent, but I think he's more towards the end of the line. I think if you're looking, for a DH type, I think teams might be interested in him. I don't think he comes back to St. Louis. I think the Orioles, I could see it. There's a universe where I could see it. Carlos Santana, I think he kind of returns to the Twins next season, even though he was good. Offensive, like power, you're going to get some offense. You're going to get some home runs. Josh Bella, kind of same, younger version, bounce around a little bit, got some power in his bat. You're going to see him somewhere, probably on a different team, not the Marlins. Probably going to sign with a better team with a better record. Gabriel Torres. Gabriel Torres is a good offensive player. I thought he's actually been hitting the ball well all year ahead of Judge and Soto. Like a lot of the Yankees, he concerns you on defense. He not good with the glove. I thought I will go below average. I think he still needs a lot of work. He's definitely, if you need a leadoff guy, that's the appeal with him. I don't think he needs to be in New York to hit leadoff. I think he can hit leadoff on any team. He's going to get you good average, get you some power. I think definitely he's the number one guy if you're actually looking for a second baseman. I think there will be teams looking for second baseman. I don't know also too if he signs with New York because they're spending a lot of money like on Soto. So he could be in play. They could say, we'll go in a different direction. It'll be interesting to see. Jorge Polanco has a club option, 29 years old with the Mariners. I think he resigned. Jorge Iglesias, I think he could go back to the Mets. I think some teams will look at it. Orioles, I think, might look at it in the second base infield. Interesting to see what they do. Can they pull the trigger on Jackson Holiday? Will they pull the trigger on Jackson Holiday starting full-time and actually committing to him to second base? Orioles really seem to be, and this is just the read I kind of get from them, kind of like adverse to commit to anything. I think there's a shot we may get a Gunnar extension or a Adley extension in the offseason, but they kind of had the attitude, let's collect bodies, let's collect young players. So wouldn't shock me if they sign a second baseman. Brandon Drury and Whit Merrifield are also options for them. I think they're kind of more utility players, fringe starters as well. So those are names to look at. Third base, I think there's pretty much one name here, Alex Bregman. I think he's going to get a lot of money from somebody. I think he's easily the upgrade here at third base for somebody. I think definitely a team would want a third base production, would want Alex Bregman. Would the Orioles do it? I don't think so. I think it'll be a little expensive for them. I don't think they are out of the world idea of having a third base, but I think it's a little expensive. Bregman, I think, is going to cost money. I don't think he's going back to Houston either. I think somebody else is going to pony up, the Rangers or something like that. Suarez, I think, is a good addition for somebody. I'd be surprised if he gets out of town. There is a club option. After that, good luck. J.D. Davis, the Yankees, last of the Yankees. I don't even think he was with the Yankees at the end of the year. Juan Makata definitely struggled with the White Sox, and Ahmed Rosario. These guys are just bench guys. Maybe you're looking for a guy. I think you could get a guy. This is something I think the Orioles would consider, something like that. There's an injury or something like that. Shortstop, definitely Orioles, I don't think are in the market for short. I'd like to see him in the market because I like to see Gunnar at third, but I don't think they're going to move Gunnar. I think they're going to leave him at short. Willie Amos is the top free agent at shortstop. He's definitely going to get a lot of money, and definitely the Orioles aren't going to do that. I don't think he resigns either with the Brewers. The Brewers, I don't think are going to spend that money. Ha-Seong Kim with the Padres, they should want to resign him. I don't think you want Bogarts anymore at short. So I think they should want to resign him. He did get hurt. I got a sense he's not coming back. But after that, Kyle Farmer, Miguel Rojas, Paul DeLong, you can kind of all put them in the utility category. You can put them in third. You can put them somewhere. Rojas, I think might start somewhere. Bad team, middle of the team, but that's about that for that position, shortstop. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, Juan Soto. Somebody called me stupid for thinking that Corbin Burns is not in the running with a contract with Soto. I don't think that's stupid. Probably Soto would get a bigger deal than Corbin Burns, mainly because he's younger. It is possible he gets a Bryce Harper like 13-year, 14 years, something like that, because he's really young for a free agent. I don't even think that age is right. I think he's like 25 or something. 25, 26. So I think it is possible that he gets a good deal. He's a train wreck in right field. But his offense doesn't. I mean, you don't really care. I mean, his offense is outstanding, of course. So he's definitely a guy that you're going to be interested in. Um, I think he resigns with New York. If he's turned down contracts with the Nets, big contract. He turned down really one with the Padres. So I don't know who else be out there to sign him and give him more than that. I mean, the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers. That's it. I don't think there's another team to give him like this much money if he's wanting so much money. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's got to. He's already turned that because they neither one of those teams wanted to get rid of him, but he's turning down these huge contract offers. So interesting to see. He's going to get a lot of money. Toscar Hernandez, I don't think he's going to get as much as people are thinking. He was really good this year, though. I do understand that. So he was really good this year. I thought he was an outstanding addition for the Dodgers. So I'm not dissing him. I don't think he's going to get as much because I think he's a bit of a one-year guy. He's been pretty good, but man, he really stepped up like this year. So I don't think it's going to be quite as much as people think, but I definitely think he might. It might happen. I'm not convinced of that, but it definitely might happen. Will the Orioles look at it? Outfield, interesting. How do you feel about Kjerstad out there in the outfield? So these are something guys are going to be looking at. Santander, I think he's gone. I don't think he resigns with the Orioles. I think he gets more than what people think. I think I'm hearing some of these people think that he can't get $20 million. I definitely think they do. I do think whoever doesn't get Soto is going to take a long look at Hernandez and Santander. I do believe that. So it's definitely true. Tyler O'Neill's another one. So Tyler O'Neill, I think, is definitely a guy. I think this probably stays. I think they're going to prioritize him more in Boston. I think he probably stays. Interested to see what happens with Verdugo. Again, not good on defense. I think he's a good offensive player. I think he's helped them. I don't think he gets as much money as the first four. But I definitely think a team looking for a starter, believe it or not, there aren't a lot of good starting outfielders, I don't think. Not a lot. I mean, there are definitely somebody, he'd be starting on any team, and I definitely think of Verdugo would definitely has some interest for a lot of teams. Couple more here. J.D. Martinez, Jack Peterson, Ronald Hearn, Justin Turner, Andrew McCutchen. Martinez, I think, probably signs in spring. I think a lot of these guys sign in spring. O'Hearn, I think, is the most interesting. Does he resign with the Orioles? Can they still use him, considering what they bring? They may want to bring up a Kobe Mayo. I think O'Hearn's going to have a lot of interest from a lot of teams, considering what he's done the last few years. Starting pitching, a lot of names here. Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Blake Snell, Shane Bieber, Nelson Evaldi, Jack Flaherty, Shane Manaea, Michael Wacha, Yusei Kikuchi, Matt Scherzer, Tomoichi Sugato. Burns, I think, is the headliner. Not going to stay with the Orioles. I think the Orioles might look at a Fried, a Snell, a Bieber, definitely an Evaldi if he's available. Jack Flaherty, I don't think, because they've had him before. Wacha, I think, is better than what anybody thinks. I like Michael Wacha a lot. I think definitely that's something they will look at. Kikuchi, not great this year, but definitely an option. I don't think Scherzer is going to be done. I think Scherzer is going to sign with somebody, and I think that's interesting. Interesting to see if he goes from Japan, if the Orioles actually pull the trigger on getting a pitcher from Japan. It'll be interesting. Lastly here, relief pitching. Tanner Scott at the top of the bill. Former Oriole. He's going to be a closer somewhere. The other ones, I think, Estevez, Jensen, Kaufman, Holmes. Depends on the fit where they go. I think the Orioles definitely will be interested in one of these guys. There you go. Have a good week. Enjoy all the games. Thank you for joining us on the Rivalry Sports Podcast.